Can I film this in 30 minutes? No idea, but let's try. Welcome back to Emily A to Z. My name is Emily and today is my quarterly wrap up. In this video, I'm going to talk about cross stitch, books, and just general life updates for this first quarter of the year, the first 3 months of the year, January, February, and March. Let's dive right in. Starting with cross stitch. I have only touched 4 cross stitch projects. I feel like I started off meh. I don't know where my stitchy bug is. I look at my cart of things, right? Projects I could work on, and I get excited, but then when I go to sit down and stitch, I don't want to do it. I have much more wanted to do puzzles or just read a physical book. I'm hoping to stitch some more, maybe if I can sit down with an audiobook and just kind of give myself that oomph. Part of it is, of course, that my hand has been bothering me again. I definitely overdid it at the beginning of March. I sat down and stitched every single day for the first week of March and did way more than like 30 minutes a day. I said I was just gonna do 30 minutes a day, and I did way more than that, and it started to bother my hand. So then I backed off, and I haven't picked a project up since, which is a shame. I want to stitch again. I want to keep doing Whip Wednesdays. That was part of the draw for Whip Wednesdays, was if I had this weekly video series where I was reading part of a story and the story, you know, was cut off, I would have to come back, right? I would have to come back week after week and stitch so that the story is finished and it's not just left hanging. I love this concept. I love doing it. I just don't want my hand to hurt. I am going to try and get back into cross stitching about 30 minutes a day, maybe not every day, but at least a couple times a week. That is what I would like to do. Hopefully starting this week. But let's talk about the projects that I have worked on. Starting with a storybook Halloween. This is the Halloween stitch along created by Stitchonomy. This is from 2021 and it is a 31 part whip. It was originally released a section a day over the course of the month, and this is where I am. I have worked on my Afghan for our niece. This is just baby Afghan designed by Doreen Jones. This is my very first Afghan baby blanket. It is very large. This is 4 strands over 2. On this like very large, I think it said 28 count, but because it's over such a large like square, there are like 28 boxes. I've done 9 of them so far, but this is where we are. We'll just do a slow pan. I do love it. It's just massive, so every time I pull it out, I just have a large piece of fabric that I'm working with, and I have to like fold up, and it can just kind of get in my way sometimes. It does have a lot of color changes. There is a lot of depth and shadows and the back stitching. I would love to finish it this year, but you know, I need to sit down and give it 30 minutes a day. I can get quite a bit done on this in 30 minutes if I actually sit down and try. So my most recent one that you have seen is this Peacock Biscornu. It was part of a whole peacock themed accessory kit designed by Phoebe Riley. I found it in a cross stitch magazine. This is one side of the Biscornu. The other side has a completely different pattern, but this is one side, top, I guess you could call it. This is on a 28 count casual linen in ice blue. I do also really like this. This is fun to stitch on because it has such a limited color palette and it is repetitive. And then the last whip that I have worked on is the 2025 Black Work Sal by The Steady Thread. You can find this on Facebook, and every week for the entire year a new pattern is released. This is just the border. It will go all the way around, and it even has like a fill in here. This is my very first black work piece. Like I did all of this in one night. This was all 30 minutes and I really like it. It also is like very simple. It's just kind of, you have to concentrate, but once you get into the flow of it, It feels good. I have no idea if that makes any sense. This is just one thread on this 18 count Aida, so it's very small Aida, but I really like it. I don't know, I also am really enjoying just like the simplicity of this. And I do want to pick it back up. I have not touched this since January, and we are, you know, several months into the year, so several patterns have been released. So I kind of need to get on that. And those are all of my cross stitch projects. Now we're going to get into the part of the video that may be kind of boring for some, but is so intriguing to me, and it's going to be full of stats. I'm going to have pictures pop up here on screen. Please stay with me as I talk about bookish, weird bookish things, because I have a massive spreadsheet that I use to track all of my reading. I found it. It is created by Allie from Hardback Hoarder. I think she's now just with Allie. I will link her down below. She has a walkthrough video of how to use it, like what the spreadsheet is, and I found it from her Etsy page. This is what I use. It is the ultimate reading tracker. I love it. I love seeing all of my stuff. I like tracking all of this stuff. So even if no one else ever sees it, I love looking at it because I am weird that way. Part of me wishes there were things like this pre-made as well for like my cross stitch stuff or like the puzzles that I work on. I would fill that out for everything. Just saying. Let's talk about like media that I've consumed, books that I've consumed. This is a quarterly update after all. My goal, 100 books. I have already read 41 books this year. And then before I knew what I was doing or had an idea of what my reading is, I was silly and got on to Storygraph, which I am on Storygraph. I will drop my Storygraph in the description, as well as my Instagram and everything like that. You can find my other stuff in the description if you are so interested. I also set a like pages and an hours goal before I've really understood what that would entail. My pages goal was 50,000 pages. I am only, according to Storygraph, 13% of the way complete with that. So, you know, whoops, that's okay. And I have an hours goal, like I want to listen to this many hours of audiobooks of 2,000 hours. And according to Storygraph, I'm also only 10% of the way into that. So, you know, just a bunch of things because I don't know. I'm not good at gauging hours and stuff. So far this year, I have read a total of 41 books, which still just blows my mind. I read 15 books in January, 10 books in February, and 16 books in March, including a DNF. Without the DNF, it's 15, but I'm including my DNF because I did read part of it. In January, I read 2,167 pages, in February, 1,960 pages, and in March, 2,164 pages, for a grand total of 6,291 pages. When it comes to audiobooks, in January, I listened to 77.5 or 78 hours. In February, 40 hours of audiobooks, and then in March, 72 hours. That is a grand total of 188.5 hours of audiobooks listened to. When I talk about where my books come from, I keep track of, did I already own them? Or did I buy them? Were they gifted to me? Or do I get them from the library? And not surprisingly, 80.5% of the books that I read or consume come from the library. I work at a library. I handle books every single day at my job. It is very easy for me to get my hands on a book. I also consume a lot of audiobooks, which I will get to in a moment, because of my job. I sit at a desk and I work at a desk primarily on my own by myself. So I listen to audiobooks while I do my job, and it is wonderful and I am very grateful. So I do consume a lot of them. And then I have an equal amount that I bought myself or I was gifted. Both of those are at 9.8%, which I find very interesting. Of the books that I read, I like to break this down because that's just how I am. I do keep track. Do I listen to them? If I read physically, is it a digital? Is it an ebook? Is it a hardcover? Is it a paperback? I love to break that down. I have a new stat that I will be tracking from March onward, which would be immersive reading or tandem reading, where you listen to the audiobook and have the physical book in front of you. But how do I read? So again, the majority of my books that I read, almost half of the books I read are audiobooks. 46.3%. 46.3% of the books I consume are audiobooks. The next highest percentage is my hardcover. 24.4% of the books that I read are a hardcover. So that is either a hardcover that has a jacket. Some books don't have a jacket. Then coming in at 22% exactly are paperbacks. Then the tiniest percent at 7.3% are ebooks. Overall this year, when I look at my ratings, so this chart that I have here that is showing my ratings, green is January, how I rated things in January. The orange is February, and then yellow, that yellowy gold is March. So it's just, that's what those are for my total. My average rating in January was a 3.4. My average rating in February was a 3.8. Even though I read the least amount of books, I had my highest rating so far because I think I had 2 5-stars in February. And then in March, my average rating was a 3.3. Meaning that when I look at all together for the year, my current average rating for the year is a 3.5. That does take into account that I do have 4 unrated books. All 4 of those are memoirs. I've said it. I don't rate memoirs because I don't feel that it is acceptable for me to make some sort of commentary on this part of your life. I will not rate a memoir, and that's okay. I did not read a memoir in February, but I have read 4 this year, which is way more than I have ever read in the past. I normally also don't read memoirs. I'm trying to read at least 1 nonfiction book every month, and so far I have been successful in doing that. I've read 6 nonfiction books, in fact. It's crazy to me. Averages about 2 a month. Now, this last stat is purely silly and ridiculous, but I absolutely love it. And what you're gonna see on screen is a bunch of bubbles. This represents the overall general amount of color that I end up reading. These are the colors of the covers of the books. And as you can see, so the larger the bubble, the larger the circle, that indicates the larger amount of those books there are. My number 1 that I get are books with multiple colors. It's not a standard color. It's got a bunch of things on it. This is a great example. This would be a multiple colored book because there's not one unifying cover. Next highest is blue, and here's this is a blue book. Yes, I have an old book that I already read this year. It's fine. Okay, but this is primarily blue, so I mark that this is a blue cover, which is my next highest. And then it kind of breaks down. So we've got multiple, and then blue, and then black. Then we've got yellow and green are about roughly the same size, followed by gray. And then we've got pink and white, and then lastly brown and red. As you can see, there are no purple. I know that there's purple circle, but that represents multiple. There's no orange books. There's no purple books. No metallic covers. If you take the multiple out, my number 1 color is blue. Blue is haunting me. Why do I keep getting blue books? It's very interesting. That's just a fun little stat that I like to throw in there. And that's that. If we start talking about other general life stuff, I think this year has gone pretty well. If we break it down month by month, in January, my husband went away for his week-long business trip. That always sucks, but we survived. I started multiple series. I started TBR Tackle, I started doing Whip Wednesday, and I started doing Stitchy Sunday, which is basically fallen off the wayside since I have not been stitching. Then in February, it was my birthday. We did our weekend trip where the boys went skiing. Gosh, okay. And then in March, we hit my husband and I's wedding anniversary, and we celebrated our anniversary. Caden went on spring break and hung out with his grandparents and had a awesome time. Got to see his aunt and uncle and his cousin, and he had just a blast with them. We made that week our like anniversary week, and we decided we were going to do something special for each other or with each other every single day of the week that Caden was gone, and just live it up celebrating us. Unfortunately that week I also was not feeling well, and we had to go car shopping, and I now have a new vehicle, which is so weird. But we had to deal with car shopping and all of that, but it's fine. We have the new vehicle. It is here. It's great. I love it. And that's like about it in terms of other things in life. I've done puzzles. I've had a lot of fun doing puzzles. TV show, just to throw it out there for funsies. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of movies. It's very annoying for me to sit through. They're very loud. I don't like how loud they are. There's such a discrepancy between music and sound effects and dialogue, and I don't enjoy them. It's not fun for me. My husband loves to watch movies and television shows. I just am not a TV girly, and that's okay. I do watch quite a bit of YouTube though. I've been loving Gavin of Gavin Reads It All, Rachel's Cozy Corner, Kayla from Books and Lala, Jan from Jan Agathon. I will drop all of them below because I'm mentioning them. Just a bunch of fun content. I also watch bigger names, which you should be able to find easily, like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. Like, I watch those as well. I will watch their content with my son, Ethan Nestor. Like, we watch those together. But as far as things that my husband and I do watch together, we do watch Dimension 20 together, along with other dropout TV shows. We watch Game Changers, Make Some Noise. Just, they're so much fun. I love those shows, and they're quick, they're snappy, they keep my interest and my attention, and it's fine. Dimension 20 is not quick. Those are not quick. Those episodes are like 2 hours long, but they are so fun to me. I do love D&D live shows. I found Critical Role and fell in love with Critical Role several years ago, and just kind of have naturally progressed to other shows. I really like Dimension 20, like I just said, and Dimension 20 has been the first one I could get my husband to watch. He's seen parts of Critical Role, but he was really not that interested in it. He knows the beats, the storylines, the gags, the goofs, you know, because of me, because I say them, I quote them, but he does not watch it himself. Dimension 20 was the first one I could get him to watch, and we started with season 1 with Egg Fort High, The Adventuring Academy, and he loved it. He finds them hilarious, and he laughs and I laugh, and we just have a great time together. So even if you're like, what, this is nerdy, a live action Dungeons and Dragons show, yes, give it a shot if you can. Like, just, that's my shameless plug. But I did it in under half an hour, according to my thing. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I gotta grab a snack because I'm hungry before I gotta go get Caden and we gotta go to sports. But thank you for hopefully watching this, and I will see you all very, very soon with another book video, hopefully a cross-stitch video soon. Be easy with your hearts.